Hi everyone. Hi. Hello. So on this broadcast that I will share on my IGTV broadcast after I finished is all about how I came from being a Christian, raised as a Southern Methodist, to a witch and high priestess, from Jesus follower to a follower of the Queen of Witches, Hecate. Now a little bit about me. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, in the Crown Heights section. My parents are from the South, so that makes them Southern Methodist. I was raised in the church. I was what you call in the South a flower girl, someone who participates in all of the church's events. I was baptized, but I don't have godparents. I don't have godparents. I don't know why, but I don't have godparents, even though I was baptized as a Christian. I don't have godparents. So I was born in a family that was still secular, still progressive, even though they were Christians. My parents were Christians. My father is a Catholic. My mother was a Christian. Even though Christians and Catholics are listed the same people. I grew up in the church and I went to Sunday school. I hated spending my Sundays in church because I wanted to sleep in on Sundays, but you have to go in Sunday school and they give you homework on top of the school homework. So I had double homework. I did not always turn in my Sunday school homework because I just did not do it. I just didn't do the homework. What they gonna do? Put me in detention? Send me to hell? So I grew up in church. I was not part of the choir or anything like that, but I was a big part of all of the church's events that we had. And then as I got older, as I became a teenager, I really wasn't feeling it anymore. I wasn't really interested in Jesus' life or his teachings. I felt like his teachings and his life was no longer relevant to 1999 when I was 9 years old. I didn't really care anymore about his death and resurrection. And my parents are not big. They're not like, my parents were not Jesus freaks. No, they let me do my own thing, but I just had to go to church to make the pastor feel better and make my teachers at church, at Sunday school, think that, I was actually interested in what she had to say when I really was not interested in anything she had to say. Because when the teacher was giving me assignments, I was reading Harry Potter. When the teacher was giving me assignments and I had my Bible, I also had Harry Potter in front of me, in the Bible in front of me, and pretending to read the Bible when I was actually reading Harry Potter, all right? I was not interested in it anymore. And I'm a Scorpio. So Scorpios don't really hold on to things or pay attention to things if they are no longer interested in it. And I realized that I was very, very different when I was very, very young, almost psychic, almost prophetic, almost like a prophet, always able to tell the future and be right every single time with telling the future. Never wrong. All my predictions coming true. All my dreams coming true. And I started studying astrology. Then I discovered that I'm a Scorpio. My birthday is November 13th. And I started studying Scorpios and I realized almost every single trait of a Scorpio was about me. Almost, because it's not everything. Almost every single trait about a Scorpio is about me. So I was like, oh shit. And so I started studying more astrology. Then I started studying tarot cards because I would see TV shows and movies about tarot cards and witchcraft, of course. So I started studying more and more. And here in New York City, the libraries, they have books at the library dedicated to witchcraft, to tarot cards, to astrology. New York City is very progressive. So I started going to the library and checking out these books. And then I started buying books from Barnes & Noble, eBay, Amazon. And I really started to study it. And I realized that all of this New Age stuff was better than being a Christian. It was better than going to church on Easter. It was better than giving, 10% of your income to the church. It was better than going to Sunday school. It was better than wasting my time at Sunday school. I just don't care about it anymore. So as I continue to study paganism, witchcraft, tarot, crystals, essential oils, different type of gods and goddesses, and I started coming across goddesses that I could relate to. And just in case you don't know this about myself, when I was in elementary school, my school taught about gods and goddesses of Greek mythology. My school taught about paganism. They did not encourage it. They just had to teach it because it was part of the curriculum. But I learned it in elementary school. My introduction started in elementary school. So I was like, let me look a little bit more into this. Let me study it a lot more. I'm a Scorpio. Scorpio love to know things. We love to know things. We like to be in the know. So I started studying it. Then one day when I was in, what grade was I in? 11th grade. I was 17 years old in the 11th grade. And I started studying witchcraft. I started really studying it. And then after I started studying it, because I love to read a lot, after I finished reading, I started doing the spells in the books. I started casting spells, casting hexes, casting curses, doing rituals, studying the cycles of the moon. I've always felt connected to the moon. I don't know why. When I was a little girl, I always loved the moon. I always loved being on the beach, around a river, around bodies of water, because Scorpio is a water sign, right? Right. And New York City is an island surrounded by water. So this is really me. This is who I really am. I'm not really cut out. I'm not cut out to be a Christian anymore. I'm over it. So I started to go to Sunday school and started to go to church less and less and less. I did not want to be part of it anymore. Who cares? Who cares about crucifixion? Who cares about wise men? Who cares about virgins? Who cares about Easter? Easter is coming up actually on the 4th of April. Who gives a shit about resurrection? He didn't. What did he actually do? What did Jesus actually do that was important? Who gives a shit? Jesus loves people who are poor, broken, can't read, can't write, and generally uneducated. That's not me at all. If you've been following me for any length of time, I'm highly educated. I'm highly intelligent. I seek a lot of pride in my brains. So I'm not the one for him. He's not the one for me. He's not making money moves in my life at all. Period. Never did. Because he himself never had any money. He was just some guy, basically a homeless bum. And you are who you hang out with. You are also who you worship. That's why even in paganism, you should be very careful of who you are worshiping. Are you adding to your life? Or are they just keeping you where you are right now? A loser, a nobody, a piece of shit, a bum, a hobo. So I started studying more and more, and then I came across Wicca, which is a nature-based religion. Therefore, it has all of the protection underneath our Constitution. So I did not go anymore to church or to Sunday school. Who cares? I did not go anymore. I never gave an explanation to my pastor or to my Sunday school teacher why I wasn't coming back. They asked, but I don't owe you an explanation. It's none of your goddamn business. I never answered those questions. Why you never came back to church? Why you never came back as a flower girl in church? I never answered those questions. I just simply never came back. So when I got rid of Christianity, I threw out all of my statues of Jesus, I threw out all of my crucifixions, all of my crosses, all of my gold cross jewelry, and I brought this pentacle, what I'm wearing right here. Can y'all see it? I brought this a couple of years ago. I had a smaller one than this, but I lost it, so I had to buy this one off of Amazon a couple of years ago. So I devoted myself to being a Wiccan, to following Wicca, to being part of the Wicca faith, and I started doing witchcraft. And how I came across Hecate was because she is the queen of witches. So I came across her in a couple of books, and then I came across her in the coven that I was in after I left my church. And I was like, I really like this deity. I like working with someone who is all powerful, all knowing, all loving, who wants you to succeed in life, who wants you to be somebody. And my high priestess at the coven that I was in really taught everything there was to know about Hecate, the queen of witches. That's what makes me qualified to talk so much about her. And I was just hungry for learning everything I can about her. And she came to me in a dream. Hecate came to me in a dream. I know it was her, and it was not just a regular old dream, because everything she told me in the dream in which I first connected with her came to pass within days. No, maybe within a week. Within a week, everything she told me would come to pass. Everything she told me Hecate said would come to pass came to pass. Hecate's word does not return void. And what was my parents' reaction when I told them I don't want to be a Christian anymore? I'm totally over being in church. I'm totally over Jesus. Who cares about Jesus? They were 100% supportive of me. My parents were 100% supportive of me when I decided to leave Christianity. My father doesn't really care about Jesus anymore anyway. He's just some guy, no different than any other guy walking the street. My mother still remained a Christian, still attended church. That was her choice. It was the wrong choice because she never really amounted to her best ability. But my parents were very supportive of me when I became a witch. Very, very supportive of me. I never had any doubt that becoming a witch was the best choice for me. From Jesus to Hecate. That's why I always put lowercase letters for Jesus. I never capitalized the name Jesus because Hecate is above him. He's below. He's the tail. He's down in the gutter with everybody else who's broken, who's a crybaby, who's a loser, who complains and bitches all the time instead of getting off of their booty and doing something about themselves. Hecate will always encourage you to do something better for your life. She wants better for your life, not to be broken and crying at the altar and bitching and complaining and carrying on. That's fucking pathetic behavior. It's pathetic. It's 100% pathetic. Oh, people might say, oh, that's the religion. Don't dog it. I have to dog it when it's not the truth. When I started studying Wicca, I realized that everything in the Bible was a copy of Wicca. Everything in the Bible is what witches have been doing even before Jesus was conceived. Even before God put his penis in Mary's vagina. Witches been doing everything Jesus been doing for thousands of years. Everything that Jesus did in the Bible is not brand new. It's not brand new. It's not a miracle. It's witchcraft. is witchcraft. Witchcraft is working with the energy found in nature to bring about real, significant, and permanently, not temporary, permanently positive change. That is what witchcraft is. Everything in the Bible is just a copy of us. Everything in the Bible, when you first become a witch, you realize that everything in the Bible is just a copy of us. I mean, when you have no history, of course you're going to try to steal it from somebody else until you meet a witch like me who's not going to fall for that bullshit and going to call you out. And I told my pastor that one time, I said, wait a minute, everything Jesus supposedly did seems like witchcraft. He told me to shut up and continue studying the Bible, continue to read the Psalms, or to memorize the Psalms of the Bible and read the book of Revelation, how I should not question the pastor, how I should just be obedient. I'm not going to be obedient if something is fishy, something's not right. I'm going to speak on it. I'm going to speak on it. I've had several encounters with Hecate. I still do. When it comes to my life, when it comes to my coven, when it comes to witches, when it comes to you witches on social media, when it comes to our stance in the world and our place in the world and how everything is connected to each other and how witches impact, influence, and change things around them so that they can make the world either a better place or a worse place, it's completely up to the witch to decide. It's completely up to the witch to decide. No matter what deity you work with, it can be Hecate, it can be Athena, it can be Isis, it can be Beset, it can be Zeus, Hera, whoever you work with. They're not going to, give you damnation because you're working with a different deity than the one you originally worked with. Hecate is not a jealous goddess. Okay, you can work with her, you can work with her and another deity, and there is no competition. There is no jealousy. There is no, oh, if you don't follow me or do what I say, you're going to hell. If somebody is telling you, if you don't do this, this will happen, they are a extortionist and they are a terrorist. That is extortion and that is terrorism, to tell someone, if you don't do this, I will do this to you. Well, you know what? Fuck you. How about that? How about that? Fuck you. You can't tell someone, if you don't do this, I'll do this to you. Okay, well, you know what else? Fuck you. That's all. They won't be expecting you to say that. They won't be expecting you to say, fuck you, bitch. They won't be expecting you to say that at all. They would expect you to submit, stop crying like a bitch. Get in your face and pray and worship. Hecate does not require you to get on your face. Get the fuck up. Hecate does not require you to be on your knees unless you're sucking dick. Get the fuck up or eat some pussy. Get the fuck up. No deity requires you to be on your face, to be sobbing or praying in a prayer closet. That's a crock of shit. Hecate does not require that. However you feel is best to worship Hecate or the deity or the familiar or the spirit animals or your ancestors, any way you feel is fine as long as you are fine with it. I'm personally am not going to have my face on the ground, on the floor. I have a pretty face and I don't want to ruin my face by being on the ground. My face is too pretty to be on the ground. Not an opinion. I actually have a pretty face, right? Right. So I'm not going to do that. When I was a Christian, I had to get on my face and pray to Jesus, pray to God, pray to Jehovah for forgiveness. I don't want to do that anymore. You know, the only reason why you should be on your knees is because you're about to eat pussy or suck dick. Are you eating pussy? Are you sucking dick? So why are you on your knees? Get the fuck up. Get the fuck up. If you're not eating pussy or sucking dick, get the fuck up off the floor. Get off your knees. Don't do that dumbass shit. That's submission. That is submission. And it's humiliating. It's embarrassing. And it's fucking stupid. You're a stupid ass if you do that. You don't have to do that with any deity when it comes to paganism. Any. So that was my whole fucking experience as a Christian. I was very independent as a Christian. I really didn't follow. I tried to follow the commandments, but you know how people try to push your buttons and try to fuck with you and try to play with you and try to treat you like you're a dog in the street, try to talk to you like you're crazy. You can't do that with me. I'm a Scorpio. We're crazy by nature, by our very nature. You can't do that with me. You can play that game with somebody else, but you cannot play it with me. It's just not going to happen. You know, you're hopeless. You can't do it. So when I became a Wiccan, when I became a witch, I realized how much power I was holding back. How much power I was holding back. And when I unleashed that power, my life dramatically changed. My skin got clearer. My booty got bigger. You know, fat ass, big booty witches. And I felt liberated. I wasn't feeling like, you know, I was a sinner, or, you know, I was damned to hell, or I had to always ask for forgiveness, or I always had to repent, or always had to say sorry. But I personally was clearly not in the wrong. The other bitch was in the wrong. I wasn't in the wrong. I was not, and I'm not going to take responsibility for something that is not my fault. Play that shit with somebody else. You can't play that shit with me. Okay, you cannot play that shit with me. So I started really getting into my coven, and I really started to study and study and study. I was in my coven for how many years? 6-7 years, and then I branched out because my high priestess determined that I was truly anointed by Hecate herself to be a high priestess, and that's when I started my own coven. In 2012, I had a coven way upstate in New York City. I had a house there, way out in the woods, damn near Canada, and I had a large following. But then more people wanted to join my coven, so I realized, you know, let me move my coven onto online and become a, you know, a bigger presence, so more people can change their life. Real change, not change by being on your face crying like a bitch in the prayer closet. And I really started to see people change their life by becoming a witch. They know every single member has been touched by Hecate in some way, and their life has never been the same and will never ever again be the same, for the better. The members of my coven, when I had an actual building, their lives have never been the same on a better note, on a positive note. I ran a very successful coven in an actual building way upstate in New York City, way upstate. And the only reason why I moved it online was because I can have international people come in. People from all over the world, from France to Sweden to places in Africa and Asia, from, you know, the swamps of Florida, just coming in, wanting real change from a real high priestess like myself, who knows what she's talking about, knows how witchcraft works, how to live a more magical filled life, and also, like I'm doing right now, sharing my experience as a former Christian. That requires me to talk so much about Christianity, that, you know, gives me the right to talk so much shit about Christianity, because I already know the game they try to play with people. I know the Christians tend to feed off of people who don't know any better. Christians feed on people who have low self-esteem and low self-confidence and hate themselves and want to die. That's not me. That has never been any member of my coven. If that's you, you need to be in a mental health facility. You need mental health. You don't need Jesus. You don't even need Hecate. You need mental health if you feel that way about your damn self. And that's the truth. You know, I'm a Scorpio, and Scorpios are always going to tell it like it is. Always. And you don't want to be that way. That's why I encourage people when they become witches to leave, if they have it, leave their former life as a Christian behind, throw out all their Christian shit, throw it in the garbage, you know, throw it off a mountain, just get rid of it. Burn it to the ground, burn it all, burn all the bodies, burn it all, and replace it with a deity of your choice. I suggest Hecate. I'm not suggesting Hecate because she's my personal deity or because she's the queen of witches, but because she's the center of every other deity. She is the center of every other deity. And when you work alongside Hecate, she will always give you advice. She will always give you advice that actually makes sense. She will not leave you wandering or wondering what's going on. There is no confusion with Hecate. You see, as a Christian with Jesus, he tells you things. He speaks in riddles. Sometimes you don't know what the fuck Jesus is saying to you when you are a Christian. You don't have a damn clue what the fuck he's talking about. Like, huh? What? Say that again? Bitch, what the fuck you talking about? That's the confusion that you encounter when you are a Christian. Even a Christian or Muslim or Jew, there's a lot of confusion there. You know, you feel like you're spinning your wheels. You know, you feel like, damn, I just took 10 steps back by asking a simple question. What's the weather going to be tomorrow? And I hear all about hourly weather forecast. I hear about the monthly forecast. And I didn't even ask anything about that. With Hecate, she tells you straight up and down. Hecate is a straight shooter. Hecate is a straight shooter. There is no confusion with her. There is no confusion with the Queen of Witches. She's not going to talk to you in riddles and say things that you don't know what she's talking about. She's always going to tell you like it is, whether you like it or not. Whether you want to hear it or not. One way or another, you're going to get that message in a dream, in a vision, in numbers, in tea leaves, a phone call, a text, a knock on the door, get a jump. Something is going to happen for Hecate to get that message that you need to hear. She's going to give you that message. It makes no difference how you feel about it. It makes no difference if you are offended by it. It's going to be the truth. With Jesus, as a Christian, with myself, it was just a bunch of rambling on incoherently. When Jesus gives you a message, it's always incoherently. It doesn't make sense. It's stupid. And then you just get so frustrated if you can't decipher what Jesus is talking about that you just give the fuck up. Forget it. Who gives a fuck? Forget it. I'm over it. But with Hecate, she tells it like it is in a way that is best for you to listen and the best way for you to receive it. She's not going to jump out at you from around the corner or approach you when you're coming home from work at night. But she's going to somehow get that message out to you that you need to hear. She's going to get that message out some way you can hear it, which is best for you. And the best way you can use it is by acting on it. But Hecate mostly talks through your intuition, That's why I say your intuition is your inner compass, and to not ignore it, because there's a message in there for you. There's a message in there for you to receive, and for you to then act on. Don't wait. Act on it immediately. Act on it. Act on the message that Hecate gives you when she gives you also the green light to act on it. You see, as a Christian with Jesus Christ, he gives you a message. You don't know what the message is. It's probably not even in English. It's probably in what you call speaking in tongues or prayer language. Just a bunch of rambling and incoherent bullshit, okay? There's no such thing as speaking in tongues. You're just a jackass, okay? You are just a jackass. You're having a mental issue. Speaking in tongues. You're not speaking in tongues. That's literally not a thing. Sorry, I might have burst some bubbles right there, but it's not a thing at all. That's just you trying to stand out. That's just you trying to get attention. Come on now. You know you're putting on a show. You're not speaking in tongues. You're just a jackass trying to get attention, trying to get the spotlight away from somebody else who knows what they're talking about and knows that speaking in tongues is not an actual thing. When you speak in tongues, you're having a mental issue. Okay? Or it's the power of suggestion. The suggestion is so powerful that you are experiencing something amazing and brilliant when it's actually just all in your mind. It's literally all in your mind. And you're just crazy. That's it. That's it. So my journey from being a Southern Methodist to a high priestess to a witch, and helping other people become witches and live a more magical filled life, because as a witch you should not have to go through life doing things the hard way. You don't have to go through life doing things the hard way when you have the deity, especially the queen of witches Hecate, backing you up. Those days of having to jump through hoops and struggle and weep and cry yourself to sleep, those days are over. If you want to return to those days, become a Christian. Become a Southern Methodist like I was. You know how many times I used to cry myself to sleep because I felt like Jesus wasn't hearing me? And it actually turned out he wasn't hearing me. But Hecate was. And like I said earlier, I've always been drawn to the moon. The moon is one of her symbols. The moon is one of Hecate's symbols. I love being around the water. New York City is surrounded by water. We have the Hudson River. We have the Atlantic Ocean not too far from here, from where I live at. The Atlantic Ocean is what? Near JFK Airport? Come on now. You know, me always having psychic visions, and those visions coming to pass within days, within a week, within a month, and it being exactly as it was shown to me. So for those witches who used to be Christians, I totally get it. I totally get the abuse. I totally get the verbal abuse. I totally understand the emotional abuse, the mental abuse, and I'm sorry it happened to you, because people say what you say to me when they hear my story, you know, in person. I'm sorry that happened to you, and it should not have happened to you, but I'm glad you got out of the cult, because Christianity is a cult, and change your life for the better by no longer being a church member, no longer being part of the congregation. I mean, I don't know if the church has already excommunicated me. I don't know if, if they do that thing anymore. But I was not going to be a part of that train wreck anymore. I don't have time for it. I'm too busy. I'm way too busy with more important things to do than to worry about, you know, sitting in a heart church on a hot ass June morning with no air conditioning. Those fans that the church give you, those don't do shit. Those don't do shit. You know, I was a Christian for years and years and years. Then I finally woke up and realized that I was a natural witch. I can just wish for things and it'll come true. I can say things. You know, witches use words. Witches know how powerful words are. Witches know how powerful writes in paragraphs and writes in sentences are. You know how powerful that is. We know how powerful that is. And we know that when you write down a spell, ritual, hex, or curse, and you write down exactly what you want to happen in your life, or to that person, or to that group of people, and you have the energy and you have the intent, when you put it into that spell, and especially when you light that piece of paper up in that color candle of your choice, you know it's a guarantee to manifest the way that you intended. You can have control over your life. When you become a witch, you are choosing, for some people, for some former Christians, you are finally choosing to take back control over your own life. Because when you are a Christian, you do not have control over your own life at all. They have control over you. They want to know all your business. They want to be all up in your drawers. Everything about you, and you're in my business. Don't do that. Don't do that. You don't need to know everything about me. They're very invasive. And then they try to talk to your friends on the down low. They try to find out this and that about you, how things have been going since you left the church. Why are you so worried about how my life has been since I left the church? That's in the past. It's not our life, it's my life. Mine. And my walk now is with Hecate, the queen of witches. Not your crucified martyr. Not your crucified martyr, but with the queen of witches, Hecate. So I wanted to come on here live and share my experience from being a follower of Jesus Christ to being a follower of Hecate and a witch and a high priestess. And I will definitely leave this up for the replay for anyone that may have missed it, and I'm going to share it to my stories so that you can watch whenever you have the time. So thank you guys for joining me, and I will be speaking to you all shortly. Bye everyone.